Tell me a little about yourself. I attended MIT when I majored in electrical engineering. My hobbies include basketball, reading novels, and hiking. Tell me a little about yourself. I grew up in Korea and studied accounting. I worked at an accounting firm for 2 years and I enjoyed bicycling and jogging. Tell me a little about yourself. I'm an easygoing person that works well with everyone. I enjoy being around different types of people and I like to always challenge myself to improve at everything I do. Tell me a little about yourself. I'm a hard worker and I like to take on a variety of challenges. I like pets and in my spare time I like to relax and read the newspaper. Tell me a little about yourself. I've always liked being balanced. When I work, I want to work hard, and outside of work, I like to engage in my personal activities such as golfing and fishing. What are your strengths? I believe my strongest trait is my attention to detail. This trait has helped me tremendously in this field of work. What are your strengths? I've always been a great team player. I'm good at keeping a team together and producing quality work in a team environment. What are your strengths? After having worked for a couple of years, I realized my strength is accomplishing a large amount of work within a short period of time. I get things done on time and my managers always appreciated it. What are your strengths? My strongest trait is in customer service. I listen and pay close attention to my customers' needs, and I make sure that they are more than satisfied. What are your weaknesses? This might be bad, but in college, I found that I procrastinated a lot. I realized this problem and I'm working on it by finishing my work ahead of schedule. What are your weaknesses? I feel my weakness is not being detail-oriented enough. I'm a person that wants to accomplish as much as possible. I realize this hurts the quality and I'm currently working on finding a balance between quality and quantity. What are your weaknesses? I feel my English ability is my weakest trait. I know this is only a temporary problem. I'm definitely studying hard to communicate more effectively. What are your weaknesses? The weakest trait I struggled with was not asking for help. I always try to solve my own problems instead of asking a coworker who might know the answer. This would save me more time and I would be more efficient. I'm working on knowing when it would be beneficial to ask for help. What are your short-term goals? My short-term goal is to find a position where I can use the knowledge and strengths that I have. I want to partake in the growth and the success of the company I work for. What are your short-term goals? I've learned the basics of marketing during my first 2 years. I want to take the next step by taking on challenging projects. My short-term goal is to grow as a marketing analyst. What are your short-term goals? As a program manager, it's important to understand all areas of the project. Although I have the technical abilities to be successful in my job, I want to learn different software applications that might help in work efficiency. What are your short-term goals? My goal is to always perform at an exceptional level, but a short-term goal I have set for myself is to implement a process that increases work efficiency. What are your long-term goals? I would like to become a director or higher. This might be a little ambitious, but I know I'm smart and I'm willing to work hard. What are your long-term goals? After a successful career, I would love to write a book on office efficiency. I think working smart is important, and I have many ideas. So after gaining more experience, I'm going to try to write a book. What are your long-term goals? I've always loved to teach. I like to grow newer employees and help coworkers wherever I can. So in the future, I would love to be an instructor. What are your long-term goals? I want to become a valued employee of a company. I want to make a difference and I'm willing to work hard to achieve this goal. I don't want a regular career. I want a special career that I can be proud of. What do you want to be doing 5 years from now? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? In 5 years, I see myself as a valued employee of a company. I want to be an expert at my position and start training to be a manager. What do you want to be doing 5 years from now? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? In 5 years, I want to be a senior analyst. I want my expertise to directly impact the company in a positive way. What do you want to be doing 5 years from now? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? My goal is to become a lead in 5 years. Although not everyone gets promoted to this level, I believe I can achieve this goal through hard work. What do you want to be doing 5 years from now? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Although I really enjoy working hands-on as a mechanical engineer, I want to eventually become a manager. I want to continue gaining experience, and after learning many different aspects, I see myself in management. If you could change one thing about your personality, what would it be and why? I get easily frustrated at people who don't work very hard, but I know people have different work styles and different work habits. So if I could change something, I would like to be more understanding. If you could change one thing about your personality, what would it be and why? I have high expectations, and I have these expectations on others. I think if I was more understanding, I could help other workers improve instead of being disappointed. If you could change one thing about your personality, what would it be and why? I would like to be more of a risk taker. I always do my work and complete it at an exceptional level, but sometimes taking a risk can make the work even better. I'm working on this by thinking the issue through and weighing the pros and the cons. If you could change one thing about your personality, what would it be and why? I would like to be more of an extrovert. I'm a little quiet and a little closer on the introvert side. I would like to change this because I would appear more friendly. What does success mean to you? To me, success means to have a goal, plan the steps to achieve the goal, implement the plan, and finally achieve the goal. What does success mean to you? Success means to achieve a goal I have set for myself. What does success mean to you? Success means to produce high-quality work before the deadline. What does success mean to you? Success to me is knowing that my contributions positively impacted my company. What does failure mean to you? Failure is when I do not reach my goal. What does failure mean to you? I think to fail at something is making a mistake and not learning anything from it. What does failure mean to you? I think failure is not reaching your potential. If you do not use the resources you have and the resources around you, that's failure because the work or goal could have been done better. Are you an organized person? I'm a very organized person. I like to know exactly what I'm going to do for the day and the week. So I outline my task and organize my workload. By doing so, I can organize my time and my work better. Are you an organized person? I believe I'm very organized. I like to organize my work by priority and deadlines. I do this so that I can produce the highest quality work in the amount of time I have. Are you an organized person? I think I'm quite organized. I like my documents and papers in a way where I can retrieve them quickly. I also organize my work in a way where it's easy to see exactly what I'm doing. Are you an organized person? Organization has always come easy to me. I naturally organize things like my desk, time, assignments, and work without thinking about them. This helps me tremendously during times when I'm approaching a deadline.
In what ways are you organized and disorganized? I'm very organized with my time and work, but my desk is a little disorganized. In what ways are you organized and disorganized? Since I work with many files, I like to keep my desk organized. I always have everything in a certain place so I can find things easier. The area I'm disorganized is probably my computer desktop. I usually have so many icons everywhere. I should organize it a little, but I've never needed to. In what ways are you organized and disorganized? I organize my schedule the best. I'm used to many meetings, so it's important for me to be organized with my schedule and time. The area I need to improve is probably my file cabinet. I started to sort things alphabetically, but when I'm busy, I start putting things in there. It started getting hard to find things, but this is something I'm going to fix. Do you manage your time well? In what ways do you manage your time well? I know I manage my time well because I'm never late to work, and I've never missed a deadline. Do you manage your time well? In what ways do you manage your time well? I'm good at managing my time. I stay both busy at home and at work, and being able to manage my time is necessary for me to do everything that I want to do. Do you manage your time well? In what ways do you manage your time well? I manage my time well by planning out what I have to do for the whole week. It keeps me on track and even helps me to be more efficient. How do you handle change? Are you good at dealing with change? I'm good at dealing with change because I'm a quick thinker. If new information makes us change our marketing strategy, for example, I'll be quick to analyze the information and create a plan to make the changes. How do you handle change? Are you good at dealing with change? I've experienced many changes previously. I handle the situation by quickly coming up to speed on the changes and applying myself to make them a success. How do you handle change? Are you good at dealing with change? I'm good at dealing with change because I'm flexible with my work and abilities. I'm not afraid of learning new and difficult things. Whenever I'm faced with a change, I'll put in extra effort to make the change a smooth transition. How do you handle change? Are you good at dealing with change? I handle changes smoothly. Whenever there's a change of any sort, I analyze the situation and I always try to find ways I can contribute to the change in a positive way. How do you make important decisions? I make important decisions by examining all the details and then weighing the pros and cons for each decision. How do you make important decisions? I gather all the information I can find, and based on the information, I'll come to the best decision I can. If I know a coworker was in a similar situation, I wouldn't hesitate to find out the results to make sure my decision is the best one. How do you make important decisions? I believe all decisions should be made by having all the information. If you are missing an important detail, it's easy to make a bad decision. So I make important decisions by having all of the information. How do you make important decisions? Important decisions are made by knowledge through information and wisdom through experience. I'll gather all the information I can and then apply my experience while analyzing the information. With this combination, I'm confident I'll make the correct important decisions. Do you work well under pressure? I work well under pressure because I use the pressure to help me work more efficiently. Do you work well under pressure? I enjoy working under pressure because I believe it helps me grow. In my previous experience, I always worked well during deadlines, and I always learned how to work more efficiently afterwards. Do you work well under pressure? I work well under pressure because I don't panic. I maintain self-control and work as efficiently as possible. In all my experiences, I did well, and I always enjoyed the experience. Do you work well under pressure? During times of pressure, I try to prioritize and plan as much as I can. After I'm organized, I really just put my head down and work hard in a smart way. I don't let the pressure affect me, so I believe I work well under pressure. Which category do you fall under? A person who anticipates a problem well, or a person who reacts to a problem well? I think it's good to be good at both. But in my experience, I realized I react to problems better. Which category do you fall under? A person who anticipates a problem well, or a person who reacts to a problem well? Whenever I'm faced with a new problem, I know what steps to take to deal with the problem. Which category do you fall under? A person who anticipates a problem well, or a person who reacts to a problem well? I believe I'm strong in both, but I try to work more on anticipating problems. In this profession, it's very important to anticipate a problem and fix it before it becomes a real problem. Which category do you fall under? A person who anticipates a problem well, or a person who reacts to a problem well? I'm good at dealing with problems, so I'm a person who reacts to a problem well. Are you a risk taker, or do you like to stay away from risks? I consider myself to be in the middle, but if I were to choose from my past experience, I would think I would call myself a careful risk taker. Are you a risk taker, or do you like to stay away from risks? I'm reliable and believe in stability and guarantees. My work will be based on facts without assumptions or guesses, so I tend to stay away from risks. Are you a risk taker, or do you like to stay away from risks? I think it's important to take some risks. I keep the options open, and if the reward justifies the risk, I would definitely try. So I'm more of a risk taker. Are you a risk taker, or do you like to stay away from risks? I take risks because through planning and working smart, it's possible to reduce some of the risk. So if there's a reasonable chance of success, I would take the opportunity. Why should I hire you? I'm a perfect fit for this position. I have the experience and the traits you are looking for. On top of that, I'm a great team player that gets along with everyone. Why should I hire you? I should be hired because I'm efficient, smart, and friendly. I'm great at solving problems and love challenges. Most importantly, I'm dependable and reliable. Why should I hire you? There are two reasons why I should be hired. First, my qualifications match your needs perfectly. Second, I'm excited and passionate about this industry and will always give 100%. Why should I hire you? You should hire me because I'm confident and I'll do the best job. I have proven a track record of success starting from high school until now. I'm responsible and smart. Why should I hire you? This position requires someone that will work well without supervision. I know how to manage my time and organize my work well, so I'm confident I'll be the best candidate for this position. Tell me about cues. Tell me about a time you made a mistake. I was given a project to complete in a week. I understood the project, but I misinterpreted one section. After completing the project, I was told by my manager that it was done incorrectly. I really made a mistake by assuming incorrectly in one of the sections instead of asking for clarification. I learned not to assume through the mistake I made. Tell me about a time you made a good decision. Tell me about a time you found a solution to a problem. During my last project, we ran into a difficult problem. This was a high priority, so everyone was instructed to find a solution. I started looking for more information on the internet. I even talked to a different manager on a different team. This helped tremendously and our problem was solved. I made a decision to use every resource I could find, and in the end, it solved the problem. Tell me about a time you made a poor decision. When I was doing an audit for a small company, there was a problem with one of the accounts. I tried to contact the company to ask questions, but they were not there. I made the decision to keep looking for the answer. 4 hours later, they returned my call and I realized it was a simple typo. I wasted 4 hours of my day. In this case, I was too sensitive about detail. So, I learned how not to be so detailed and picky. Tell me about a time you fired someone. In my last position, I had 4 people reporting to me. One of my direct reports failed to show up on time, complete assignments, and really didn't care about the work. I tried to encourage the employee, assigned different types of work to him, and even sat down and showed him how to do things. After 2 months of trying, I had to let him go. Tell me about a time you fired someone. Our company was downsizing and I had to let 2 people go. It's easier when a person does a terrible job, but if everyone is doing their job, it's more difficult. I had to select the bottom 2 performers and explain why they were being let go. Tell me about a time you fired someone. I received a resume, but it didn't have all of our requirements. I initially thought she wasn't a fit, but after looking over the education background and the previous work experience, I thought this person would have more potential than other candidates. After interviewing her, we extended an offer. She was a quick learner and performed at an exceptional level. Sometimes it's important to see potential, and in this instance, it was a great hire. Tell me about a time you failed to complete an assignment on time. One time, I had a project that was due on Tuesday. On Friday, I analyzed our progress and I was ahead of schedule. I didn't have to work over the weekend to complete the assignment. On Monday, my manager was sick, so I had to attend several meetings that took all day. Because of that, I didn't complete my assignment until Wednesday. Now, I tried to finish my assignments a day or half a day early because something unexpected could come up.
Tell me about a time you found a solution to save the company money. I wasn't really in any position to save the company money, but I have one small example. When we were a smaller company, we didn't get a significant corporate discount on our hardware. After we grew in size, we qualified for the larger discount, but nobody realized that we now met the quota. I pointed this out and we started saving 5% more on our hardware. Tell me about a time you aimed too high. We had a new project that I was interested in. Even though I was busy, I volunteered to take on the assignment. I had to work so much more. Although I managed to complete the assignment, it really burned me out. I feel I aimed too high and I would have benefited by doing a better job on my current assignments instead of wanting more challenges. Tell me about a time you aimed too low. There was a new project that I was interested in. Because I had other responsibilities, I didn't volunteer. I wasn't too busy, but I was worried I wouldn't complete the assignment on time. I realized I missed a wonderful opportunity because I aimed too low. Tell me about a time you made a great sale. I had a customer come in that was a little rude. He had many questions and cut me off very frequently. I stayed patient and explained everything to his satisfaction. He ended up representing a medium-sized business that required a large order. I feel this was a great sale because I treated this customer with respect and patience. Tell me about a time you went over budget. During our marketing campaign, we realized how many customers we were gaining through the radio advertisements. Although we didn't have budget for more radio advertisement, I still made the decision to place our ad on 3 more stations. We increased sales by 25% for that month, but I ended up going over budget by 5%. What extracurricular activities were you involved in? I was involved in our school newspaper. I was one of the writers for 3 years. What extracurricular activities were you involved in? I was very active in our university politics. In my senior year, I was the vice president of the university. What extracurricular activities were you involved in? Besides studying, I played baseball for our school. I really like to study and to stay physically active. What extracurricular activities were you involved in? I was involved with the group that helped awareness of environmental problems such as pollution. I was on a team that educated people about driving alternatives such as buses and carpooling. Why did you choose your major? Why did you choose to major in history? I majored in history because I enjoyed learning about the past. I always try to apply my history knowledge in many things I do. This knowledge allowed me to study many different experiences. Why did you choose your major? Why did you choose to major in history? I majored in English because it was a major that would make me more skilled in reading, writing, and communicating. I believe English is a tool that's used everywhere, so I thought it was the best major for me. Why did you choose your major? Why did you choose to major in history? I majored in psychology because I was interested in seeing how the mind works. I also found it useful because it helped me to work with people better by understanding differences in everyone. Why did you choose your major? Why did you choose to major in history? I majored in biology because I initially wanted to go to med school. Although I decided not to go to med school, I still wanted to complete my bachelor's degree. If you redo college again, what would you major in? I didn't realize I was so interested in computers until I graduated college. So if I could select a different major, I would major in computer science. If you redo college again, what would you major in? I like the fact I completed my degree in English, but if I could redo my college again, I would like to double major in English and business. If you redo college again, what would you major in? I would like to have majored in engineering. I have a strong interest in hardware, so I believe engineering would have helped. If you redo college again, what would you major in? I would choose to major in marketing in the business school. I really enjoy this type of work, and having more background would have helped me excel more. What course did you like the most? What was your favorite subject? I really enjoyed an English writing class I took. This class taught me to write more clearly and concisely. What course did you like the most? What was your favorite subject? My favorite subject was physics. It really helped my logic abilities, and I used this knowledge to solve problems in a variety of ways. What course did you like the most? What was your favorite subject? There was a speech class I took that I really enjoyed. It helped me to speak in groups better, and I learned to speak professionally in front of an audience. What course did you like the most? What was your favorite subject? My favorite subject was applied science. I really enjoy learning different ways of applying science into ordinary things. What course did you like the least? What course did you struggle in the most? I didn't enjoy history that much. It wasn't that difficult, but it didn't allow me to think creatively. Most of the classes I took were about memorizing dates and facts, so history is my least favorite subject. What course did you like the least? What course did you struggle in the most? I struggled in a music class the most. I really enjoy listening to music, so I tried to learn a little about it, but it was a disaster. My tone was off and I couldn't tell if something was flat or not. What course did you like the least? What course did you struggle in the most? My least favorite class was probably poetry. During that course, I struggled writing a real poem. I realized I'm not a poet. What course did you like the least? What course did you struggle in the most? I disliked my geography class. It wasn't difficult, but I simply didn't find it very interesting.
How will your performance in your worst class affect your performance on this job? No matter if I liked the class or not, I always tried my hardest. As a result, the lowest grade I ever received was a B. So I'm confident that I'll be good at any task. How will your performance in your worst class affect your performance on this job? My performance in my worst class will positively impact my performance on this job. I struggled with a logic class, but I studied harder, researched more information, and I never gave up. How would your best friend describe you? Oh, let's see. I think my best friend would describe me as honest, detailed, and very organized. How would your best friend describe you? I think my best friend would say that I'm very responsible. Whenever our group of friends had to coordinate an activity, they always relied on me. How would your best friend describe you? My best friend would probably say that I'm warm, friendly, and understanding. How would your professor describe you? I think my professor would describe me as a great team member and consistent in my schoolwork. How would your professor describe you? My professor told me one time that I was like a fireball. I always had a good attitude that positively affected other students in group activities. How would your professor describe you? My professor always told me that I was very creative. He liked my papers because it showed that I really thought about the problem and tackled it in a different way. How would your mother describe you? I think my mother would say I'm very friendly because I had a lot of friends, and that I'm very focused because I always finish what I start. How would your mother describe you? Since I was the oldest out of 3, I think my mother would describe me as responsible and someone who is looked to for answers. How would your mother describe you? My mother told me I was always smart. When I was younger, she was surprised to see A's in my report card. After a while, she would be surprised when I didn't receive an A. Why are you applying for a job that you didn't major in? Why didn't you pursue a career in your major? I majored in English because I liked to write. Because I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, I majored in something I was very interested in. After working for a year on the marketing team, I realized that this is what I want to be doing. Why are you applying for a job that you didn't major in? Why didn't you pursue a career in your major? I majored in history, but during my senior year, I had an opportunity to work at an accounting firm. After seeing firsthand at the work they were doing, I really wanted to become an accountant. Why are you applying for a job that you didn't major in? Why didn't you pursue a career in your major? I was planning on going to dental school, so I majored in biology. After working with computers, I realized how interesting and challenging it was. So I studied computers on the side because I wanted a career working with computers. During college, how did you spend your summer vacations? My last 2 summers of college, I did an intern for a consulting firm. I gained experience working on office solutions for large companies. During college, how did you spend your summer vacations? I have a strong interest in traveling, so I used my summer to travel. I went to Europe, Australia, Brazil, and China. During college, how did you spend your summer vacations? Every summer, I took extra English classes. I also took some drawing classes because it's one of my hobbies. So I spent my summers learning more things. During college, how did you spend your summer vacations? My first 2 summers, I had to work to save money for tuition, but after saving enough money, I had a free summer. I actually ended up taking some computer classes to prepare myself for the business world. These days, it's a requirement to know computers, so I prepared for that. What did you learn from your internship? In my final summer vacation, I had the opportunity to work as an intern for a public accounting firm. It was only 3 months, but I learned a lot about performing quarterly tax services for small and medium-sized companies. I also learned to deal with time pressure and learned how to prioritize work to be more efficient. It was a great experience that I know will help me when I start my career. Did you do any internships? Yes, I did 2 internships. The first internship was for Johnson & Johnson. I worked in the distribution team, and my second internship was for Starbucks. At Starbucks, I had the opportunity to work on overseas venture. Did you do any internships? I did 1 internship for IBM. I was on the development team creating applications for business solutions. Did you do any internships? I love to travel, and I realize that when I start my career, I won't be able to travel for long durations. So I used my summers to travel a lot. I spent 1 summer in Europe for 2 months. I spent another summer traveling between China and some Southeast Asian countries, and finally, I took a road trip through the United States. If you could learn something such as a new skill, what would it be? What's the next thing you want to learn? I would love to learn more about auditing. As a tax accountant, I primarily work on tax, but I like all aspects of accounting, and I think auditing would be very interesting. If you could learn something such as a new skill, what would it be? What's the next thing you want to learn? The next thing I want to learn is how to make web pages. I think this skill can be used anywhere. If I want a personal website, I would make it myself. And if my group at work needed an internal website to organize activities, I would be able to make one. If you could learn something such as a new skill, what would it be? What's the next thing you want to learn? I want to learn the different ways to market globally. In my marketing team, I learned everything about marketing on a local level, but I would really love to learn more about marketing to different countries. If you could start your career over again, what would you do differently? I started my career at a small company. I feel I would have benefited more if I started at a larger company. A large company usually provides training that I didn't receive, so I would like to have started my career in a larger company. If you could start your career over again, what would you do differently? I didn't know how much I liked working with computers until I finished college. If I had known earlier, I would have liked to have worked with computers earlier in my career. During your performance reviews, what criticism do you hear the most? I heard that I need to be more proactive. I always perform at an exceptional level, but I didn't volunteer for additional work. I wasn't accustomed to it, so I'm glad that I received this criticism. I now practice keeping an eye out for additional projects I can take on. During your performance reviews, what criticism do you hear the most? During my review, my manager told me to voice my opinions more frequently. He always liked my suggestions when I told him, but in group meetings, I usually let my manager speak. Now, I feel more confident that I can suggest my ideas in groups. During your performance reviews, what criticism do you hear the most? My manager told me that I should send more updates. He told me I did my projects well and that I was never late, but he would like more updates so he can report to his manager.
Tell me about your last 3 positions. I've only had one position. In my last position, I've worked as a marketing analyst for South American markets. I've worked closely with partners in Chile and Argentina. Tell me about your last 3 positions. I've only held 2 different positions. In my first job, I was a lab manager for ABC Software Company. I monitored 50 computers and performed diagnostics regularly. In my last position, I was a network engineer, fixing network problems and troubleshooting bottlenecks. Tell me about your last 3 positions. I worked as a translator for the King County Courthouse. Afterwards, I worked as a translator for hospitals. My last position was translating help documents for a software company. Tell me about your last position. What did you do and how did you do it? Include the people you worked for and the people you work with. I was a staff auditor for a small accounting firm. I performed audits for small to medium-sized businesses. This involved meeting the clients and retrieving data required to complete the audit. I worked closely with my supervisor that presented my findings of the audit to the clients. Tell me about your last position. What did you do and how did you do it? Include the people you worked for and the people you work with. I worked for a large insurance company as an agent. I made sales to new customers and provided customer service to existing customers. I worked with 3 other people in my group and we helped each other by sharing ideas and experiences. Tell me about your last position. What did you do and how did you do it? Include the people you worked for and the people you work with. I was a program manager for a manufacturing company. I was in charge of cost analysis concerning different quantities of manufacturing. I also worked on planning the procedure for the next deliverables. What is your management philosophy? I think management should provide guidance, direction, leadership, and finally setting an example to subordinates. What is your management philosophy? My management philosophy is to provide an environment that leads to productive employees. I achieve this through conflict management, keeping the morale high, providing encouragement to low performers, and also rewarding the strong performers. What is your management philosophy? I believe in setting an example. My favorite managers in the past were the ones that work smart and efficiently. I learned a great deal and found that leading by example is a strong way to influence directs to work diligently. What was your favorite job? My favorite job was working as a financial analyst. I wanted to pursue other areas of finance, so I accepted a position as a financial consultant. After a while, I realized how much I enjoyed my work as a financial analyst, so I looked for a financial analyst position. What was your favorite job? The last position I held was my favorite job. I really enjoy all aspects of accounting and auditing. However, I don't want to limit myself to just governmental accounting, so I want a position where I can be doing similar types of work in a larger setting. What was your favorite job? My favorite job was the last position I held in the marketing department. That's why I'm applying for this job. It's similar to my last position and I really enjoyed it. Even though I really like my job, I want to experience the same work for a larger company. That's the primary reason for wanting to leave my current job. Tell me about the best manager you ever had. My favorite manager was a person with a lot of knowledge. She stood her ground firmly and knew the best process to take by analyzing all the information. Tell me about the best manager you ever had. My favorite manager was very trusting and easy to approach. I grew in many ways under this manager, and I valued his method of dealing with directs. I believe in growing employees, and this manager did a great job. Tell me about the best manager you ever had. I had a manager that worked efficiently instead of bossing people around. He set an example of hard work through his actions. I respected that trait and learned to be more like him by working smarter.